It is Monday, and that means it's time for another episode of the Trial and Error Podcast.
That's right. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, the trialanderrorpodcast.com website, which I heard is actually, pretty sleek, pretty sexy.
Looks really great. Thank you, producer Aaron.
Yeah. And if you're there at the right time, you can find us on Instagram Live.
Man, before Instagram, before the social media climate that we have now, do you remember Nickelodeon?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's still around to some extent, but the kids watching it today don't have shit on us.
Why is that?
Man, those are the days, the early 2000s, those are the glory days. And I'll tell you what so the reason I remember this, I'm now working 3 days a week, pursuing other ventures, the other 4. But that gives me a lot of time to do whatever I want.
Watch Nickelodeon.
No, I find myself on Reddit a good amount of the time. It's a bad habit. I'm getting out of it. I'm working on it. If anyone has like a 10-step program to get off Reddit, I would love to hear about it. But
I could break your computer.
No, it's not.
Phone.
I was on Reddit a few days ago, and in the videos section, there was a 45-minute video of Nickelodeon commercial breaks from the year 2001.
Oh, geez.
And it brought me to a place that I haven't been in a long time. I'm a nostalgic person. I often think about the past. I often think about good memories and, times I wish I could relive. But holy shit, did this bring back specific things and specific memories?
Yeah.
Did you ever have a Razor scooter?
Oh, yeah. Kinda. I had a Super Skate, SK8.
Was that like an off-brand thing from Toys R Us or something?
Yeah. I think, I got it for my 8th birthday, and I think I told my parents I wanted a Razor scooter, and I think they saw that, and they're like, oh, he's turning 8. Let's get him a Super Skate.
Ooh. So it's like a birthday pun.
And I think to this day, that's probably why I make so many dumb fucking puns all the time.
Dude, so Razor scooters were the shit. They were a status symbol like the Moto Razor later. And it was the same thing for me. I wanted a Razor scooter, but I got this big clunky scooter with like actual tires on it.
What?
And I couldn't do bar spins. I couldn't do anything else.
That's whack.
At first, I got it for Christmas, and at first I was stoked on it, but then I went out on the street, and everyone else had these fucking Razor scooters, and they were trying to do tail whips, busting out their shins. And
yeah, you had to wear shin guards, man.
Yeah, and I couldn't do anything about that. And I remember, man, I was ungrateful. I remember one day I put it behind the house next to the chimney, and I like tossed it up against the house, and I was like, fuck you. Ugh. And my dad saw the whole thing.
Oh, no.
He was pissed.
I bet, you ungrateful little shit.
I was ungrateful as fuck, dude.
Damn.
But I wanted to be a Razor scooter kid.
Yeah.
But look at the fucking Razor. Dude, Razors are fucking... You see the scooter kids at the skate park with like the actual skateboarders now?
Well, that's the crazy thing is it went from being this like brand new extreme sport for kids that had no respect from any adults or any like, professionals or anything like that, to now it's like kind of legitimate to see kids at the skate park with Razors and they're not getting beat up.
No, I mean there's some kids
they're
who
giving
can
their
do
space,
cool stuff,
man.
but
They're-
it's
they're
still
good.
like it's not. I don't know, man.
It's
not the shit.
It's gotten to a point where it's been around long enough that people can actually like learn from other people who came before them, and they can build on the past and make new shit. I mean, think about it. Like 20 years from now, you might see Razor scooters in the X Games.
Well, so there's actually
think about 100-foot ramp, like one of those things where you got this like 100-foot drop, and you got like a big like 80-foot gap or something on a Razor scooter, man.
So there's this one guy who was a professional scooter person. I don't know what you call it, but he transferred into BMX, and last year he won BMX Big Air.
On a
BMX.
scooter?
No, on BMX.
Oh.
But the fucking tricks this kid was doing were out of control. And you could see this influence from Razor scooters. Like some of the things he was doing were just unseen in BMX. And so he took his muscle memory from scooters and applied it to
Yeah.
to a bike.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is I think like it's a fairly new, I don't know if you would call it extreme sport. Like, I mean, you could certainly make it extreme, but it's a fairly new thing that people are doing, and you just got to give it time to develop. But I mean, no matter what, I think scootering is always gonna be cooler than rollerblading, right?
I don't know, man. I used to rollerblade.
I know.
I was sponsored too.
That's great.
I was a great rollerblader.
Right, but I mean, think about like the practical use of a rollerblade. It's more of a casual, like leisurely thing than it is an extreme sport. Like if you look at people who own rollerblades versus razor scooters, I don't know. I guess you see people kind of casually taking scooters around, like for transportation. But if you go to Green Lake, you just see tons of rollerbladers. They're not doing tricks. They're just fucking coming up behind you, not saying behind, not saying on your left.
But the thing is like that was at least in the X Games back in the day. So it holds some ground, you know?
Yeah, but I don't know. I would say give scootering time. It'll make it there.
Maybe.
Some young man named Kyle is just starting to drink Monster Energy drink, and within 2 or 3 years, man, he's going to be a fucking beast on the scooter.
Fucking Rob Deerdeck's gonna find him, and
Exactly.
yeah. I don't know. It makes me think like, as a kid, all we had was outside. That's all we could do is go play outside.
Yeah.
And not that I really look for it now, but I don't feel like I see as many kids playing outside.
No, you totally don't, man. I mean, shit, even when I was watching TV, I was doing it outside.
What?
Yeah, because I wanted to watch The Simpsons and King of the Hill, but my parents were like, nah, you're too young. You have to go play outside. So I'd just go outside and watch it through the window while my brother watched inside.
That's not playing outside, bro.
But that's what I'm saying. Is like, as a kid, I was always outside.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time I was playing. Like, I was lucky enough that I grew up in a neighborhood where there were like probably 12 of us who were within 4 or 5 years of each other. So we all grew up playing together, and we would, throw a ball around, play Frisbee, whatever. We'd have the Raging Boy and Girl Wars.
Oh, I remember that.
Which was just a big, like, week-long water gun / water balloon / just water as a weapon event. And it was super dope. Like, you just had to be on your guard for a week if you were outside. People would jump out of trees. It was that intense. But we'd also play baseball. We'd do whatever we could, but we were very active. There were a lot of cuts, a lot of crying. I got my fingernail ripped off. Those were good times. And yeah, I wonder what kids are doing these days, because like doing shit like that, man, like getting dirty, hurting yourself, getting in like little fights with your neighbors and stuff. That's how you develop as a person and learn like a lot of useful skills,
So I agree with what you're saying. I want to show you this kid who went from doing razor scooters to BMX Big Air.
Mm-hmm.
I think Aaron's going to put it on the screen here. But this kid's insane, man. Just like it goes to show how you can apply muscle memory in different ways. So if you look here, we can fast forward a little bit, but some of the tricks this kid does, like he's able to take what he knows and turn it into a completely new aspect.
And
of
how
the
old
sport.
is he?
Man, this kid's, I think,
He looks young,
18.
Man. Wow.
Ryan Williams. So you can see here like that crazy like arm twist with the scooter he's doing on a BMX bike.
Yeah.
It's insane. Yeah, look at that. So he flips the bike under him like you would a scooter.
Yeah, he's lucky he's got long enough arms to do that.
Dude, and this kid's like 17, 18. Can you imagine like what he's going to do with this sport in the next 5 years?
When did he actually start doing BMX? Do you know?
I couldn't tell you for sure. I think it was like 2016. He started with Travis Pastrana. So he was like crazy at scooter.
That makes sense.
And, Travis Pastrana, who's fucking nuts, found him and put him on. And
right, but see, that's kind of the
BMX.
thing. If a guy who is arguably the most famous name in extreme sports, Travis Pastrana, if he sees you as a little kid riding a scooter and he's like, that's dope, and puts you on, that's got to say something for the future of scootering, I mean, that's major props right there.
I'll tell you what, Scootering is miles and miles ahead of soap shoes.
Shit, yeah.
Man, let's get a petition for 2020 X Games. Let's get soap shoes in there.
Bring them back.
Bring back soap shoes, baby. Hashtag bring back soap shoes.
I mean, it'd be a good, like, I don't know, like, you know how for the Super Bowl they have all those little dogs get onto a little field and run around, and it's, like, really cute.
Yeah,
Maybe they,
the
like,
Puppy Bowl.
Yeah, the Puppy Bowl. You could have, like, soap shoes would be the Puppy Bowl of the X Games.
Dude. Like, as the fucking competitors are getting ready before they warm up, you just got a bunch of punks out there soap shoeing.
Yeah, dude. That'd be fascinating.
That would be.
I really hope that soap shoeing makes a comeback, though. Like, whether it's in the X Games or not, I just want more soap shoeing content.
You know, I think by making that statement, you got to go out and get yourself a pair of soap shoes.
I've been thinking about it, and honestly, I've no bullshit. I looked at all the shoes that I owned like a few weeks ago when we first talked about this, and I have some that would be great makeshift soup shoes.
Soup shoes. Yeah.
That's another thing we need to talk about.
Is that a
folks,
shoe with like a
shoes.
spoon on the front and you kick soup up into your face?
Well, I mean, have you ever had Bailey's from a shoe?
Let's not go there.
Well, you could have soup from a shoe.
You could.
You could have a secret compartment underneath so that you can wear it and keep your soup at the same time.
And
or
your
you
foot
could,
would keep it warm.
as long as you're active enough, yeah. And
But they've got to be athletic shoes.
I would agree. But they also need, I mean, the whole soup shoe movement is basically just about consuming soup from a shoe. So whether or not you're wearing the shoe, I mean, think about it. It would have to have a pretty big platform for you to get like a nice 12-ounce cup of soup in there, right? Or, I mean, that's, if you're getting it as an entree, it should probably be like 16 ounces.
Well, you could do 8 ounces a shoe.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. So 8 ounces a shoe, that's still pretty good. We're talking about like a 2-inch platform.
Yeah.
So if it's an athletic
So
shoe.
they're sick-ass platform shoes, too?
Right, but I don't think you can make a good athletic shoe that also has platforms.
Well, okay, I guess we got to give and take here. So are we
Right,
going, if
right.
we're not going, if we're, okay. Is soup the priority of this shoe?
Obviously, yeah.
Okay. So then we're going platform shoes. And you at this point, you can sell different versions. How dedicated are you to soup? How much do you want it?
Well, and what kind of soup is it?
Yeah, if it's minestrone, you got to have a 6-inch platform. If you're just talking tomato soup, you could probably go 3.
Why do you say that? I mean, what's the difference?
Doesn't minestrone have like noodles and all that in it?
Yeah, it has noodles, vegetables, stuff like that.
Exactly. So you need more. It's more mass. You need more space, right?
No, because the soup, it doesn't matter what kind of soup it is. It's being served by the volume.
Okay.
You order a cup of soup, it's always going to be 12 ounces no matter what kind of soup it is. Plus, the liquid that you're getting in the minestrone soup is much like thinner. It's basically seasoned water. It's like a stock or like a, something like that. When you get a bisque or like a thick tomato soup, yeah, there's not like any vegetables or meat or chunks floating around in it, but it's fucking thick, dude.
So this has me thinking, how does one actually get the soup from the shoe? Let's use this for example.
That's a shoe?
Yes, this is a Vans Era classic shoe. All right, so I've got about a 1-inch sole on this.
Right, but what? So this shoe makes you an inch taller?
Well, I would say half an inch because if you look inside,
the sole,
the sole's goes a bit, where the binding for the sole goes a bit higher. Right. So if we're talking about putting soup in there, we're looking at all in all about 3 inches. And then from there, you could either just like peel the bottom back, but then that brings up the risk of it sealing in because you're walking on it, you're moving around, that seal might pop. So what it needs to be is on the inside, you need to be able to pull the sole out. And it's got to have an included straw. There's got to be room for an included straw on the bottom that you pull out of the back. Or maybe like a spoon or a spork.
You know what I just thought of? I mean,
can I put my shoe back on?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're talking about, I mean, we're being super close-minded right now. First of all, when I said soup shoe, I was thinking just pour some soup in a shoe and drink it, right? But we've taken it to a whole nother level. But here's the thing. it doesn't have to be platforms. Like we're assuming that these shoes are either low tops or medium tops. Do you remember those Converse that used to go up to your knees?
Oh, so they could be in the, they could be in,
Think about a little layer of soup around your calves,
It would keep
and
you
that
warm.
way you could have a straw that goes down your shirt, down your pants, and your undies.
Oh my
And
goodness.
connects to your shoe, so it's discreet. And honestly, I
Wow.
mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think you could feasibly keep it warm enough just with body heat, even if it was at the sole of your foot. Like the kinetic energy and the body heat, I don't think is enough to keep it out of the danger zone.
So now we're talking about some form of heating in the shoe.
Yeah, or I mean, that's the thing, man. You can use time as your control, or you can use temperature as your
Can
control.
we make the shoes microwavable?
I mean, I don't know about the technology that exists right now. I'm sure there's some type of fabric that
You know what there should be?
microwavable, but I don't think you could put rubber in a
You should.
microwave.
We could just say fuck it and put a couple slots for those like hand warmers, like hot hands. Just make a couple like 2 slots, 1 slot on each side of your shoe, so 4 total.
Right.
That'll keep your soup warm for about 4 hours.
We'd have to do testing on that though, and that's the thing is what I'm saying about time as a control versus temperature as a control. If we're using time as our control, then legally you can have soup in your shoes and it doesn't matter what temperature it is, as long as it does not exceed 4 hours from the time it was produced. It can be any temperature.
The danger zone
but
you can only stay in the danger zone for 2.
that's when you're talking about cooling, and that's when you're talking about potentially hazardous foods. And it's actually, you have to go from a certain temperature, whatever the cook temperature was, to a certain temperature. I believe it's 71 within the danger zone.
Okay.
But what I'm talking about here is not cooking or cooling food. I'm talking about holding food. So if you're using time as a control, you have 4 hours, and then it's bad no matter what. It can be in or out of the danger zone. It doesn't matter what temperature it came out, whatever. I mean, you want to make sure your soup's cooked, obviously, but time as a control, you got 4 hours. But that's the problem, is if you're using temperature as a control, then it has to be out of the danger zone the entire time. And if it's out of the danger zone, then you have 2 hours to get it back into or if it's in the danger zone, you have 2 hours to get it out of the danger zone to a safe temperature, whether it's colder or hotter. It's much easier to heat it up. But that's the thing. Do you really want 8 to 12 ounces on each foot of soup? That's 130. I think it's 135 now plus degrees. Probably not. But
No.
But you could also have gazpacho soup, which is a cold soup. But then the problem is that it will naturally warm up and just be lukewarm, and that's not very good.
So now we're in the territory of gazpacho shoes.
Gazpacho. And I mean, that already sounds like a fancy ass company,
Yeah, it sounds
right?
like it. Dude, we're talking leather now.
Gazpacho.
We're talking leather shoes that contain gazpacho.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really one of the
Gazpacho is cold soup.
Yeah, gazpacho is a cold soup. It's basically like tomatoes and other raw vegetables. You can heat them up if you'd like. You can roast them to bring out some of their characters, but I mean, really, you just take your tomatoes, whatever else, kind of blend it together, make it a little chunky if you want. Put some Earl in there, some good olive oil. Stir it around, season nicely. Keep it cold.
I've never actually had gazpacho.
It's really good. I
sure it
honestly, I
is.
would recommend roasting your tomatoes. I would just get a bunch of good ass heirloom tomatoes. I would roast them with a little bit of salt,
I'm just going to stop you right here and tell you I'm not going to make it.
a little bit of pepper.
I'm not going to do it.
Put them in a blender, olive oil, maybe a little bit of veg stock if you got some of that, whatever.
Okay.
But just get a consistency that you're happy with. Throw some basil in there. Season to your taste. Fucking soup, dude. Super healthy. Soup. Super healthy.
You know, some very intelligent people might say that cold soup is just juice.
Yeah, I'd like to take this moment to just say, shut the fuck up if that's your opinion. That's ridiculous.
Don't say that to my girlfriend, please.
That is fucking ridiculous.
Actually,
If you're putting, you're putting you're not juicing it. First of all, juicing is separating the fiber and like all that shit from the juice. With this, you're taking a whole ingredient and you're pureeing it at best.
Okay.
A puree is different from a juice.
All right, let's move on before this gets really heated.
Yeah, this could turn quickly.
Anyways, Aaron, you're good at this stuff. Let's go ahead and get a patent on soup shoes and gazpacho shoes,
Yeah.
and we'll take it from there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about music. Everybody likes music.
I like music.
It's one of those things where if like I've never
Aaron, do you like music? Yeah.
thumbs up means yes.
2 thumbs. Fuck yeah. All right.
So
So we all like music.
I feel like it's one of those things where if you meet someone who doesn't like, who says they don't like a certain type of music or don't like music, you should trust them less or the same amount as someone who says they don't like dogs. It's one of those things people just are supposed to love.
What? Yeah. Wait, what? I get the whole dog things. I mean, you're probably a sack of shit if you don't like dogs. But you're saying if somebody says they don't like a certain type of music?
No, I'm
That's
saying
the
like
same?
if you ask someone
Or
like,
they don't like music at all.
if you ask someone what kind of music do you like and they say, I don't know, I don't really listen to music, huge red flag.
Oh, yeah, I mean, at the very least, you just shouldn't trust them.
Do you say should?
Shouldn't.
Oh, exactly.
yeah.
No, I mean, I don't know the science behind it, but there's not many things that you can do on a daily basis that give you that sort of satisfaction. I mean, I can think of a few, but something chemical happens in your body when you listen to music that you love. And I can remember a time in mine and yours lives, yours and mine,
Our lives.
our lives. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah,
that sounds better.
works.
Our
That's
lives.
English. That's the language we speak.
Yeah, I forgot.
All right, yeah.
I can speak to a specific day where you and I, our entire lives changed because of music in the span of an hour and a half.
Is that the first time we went to this dude named Kravis's house?
No.
Oh. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about when we were maybe 14 and we were in a band at the time.
I remember.
In our band, we were in like kind of like an indie rock band, but you and I like had a different type of energy than the other people in the band.
We're a little bit edgier, if you will.
Yeah, we were a little more hardcore.
We like just appreciated the rawness of music per se.
So one day, our guitar player, his teacher was playing a show, and our guitar player really wanted to take us. And I remember he told us at one point as like a warning, he's like, "Hey guys, like I just realized that this is like a metal show, so you know if you guys still want to go." And you and I were like, "Fuck yeah, let's go." And we didn't know what we were expecting as metal. My dad took me to metal shows since I was 4, so I was expecting like some type of Metallica or Judas Priest type shit, which would be awesome.
Yeah, and I mean like I had listened to David Bowie before, so like I knew what metal was, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we go to this show and his guitar teacher is in like this indie band. And I remember the band that played before them was like kind of like pop punk, and you know, I was like, "Oh, this isn't really indie." And then
It was like if you okay, I'm sorry to cut you off, but the band that opened up, it was like if you were doing a commercial for like bathroom linens and bedroom linens. So maybe like a Bed Bath and Beyond commercial, and it's like really edgy and it has drama and it actually has a story. And I mean, there's infidelity that's going on. I mean, there's just raw emotions at play. But when it all comes down to it, it's still just a Bed Bath and Beyond commercial.
So
That is
that's
this band.
That's the band that opens up.
Yeah.
And then our guitar player's teacher's band comes on.
Oh no, wait, that's the band I was talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, our guitar.
Okay, cool. So whatever. We'll stay there. And then the band that's headlining, this metal band, comes on. They're called Tyson. And they were an up and coming local band to an extent that I haven't seen since. This place we were at, Showbox Market, I mean, this place holds 1,200 people. Up and coming bands that you and I have seen since then are playing smaller venues and have a smaller fan base. But this was the first time you and I had been in an actual crowd, and all of a sudden this band is getting ready to come up on stage and everyone's getting pushed. Like you're up against everybody. And these guys come on, and I guess I could describe them as like emo, pop punk, metal, hardcore.
Just like swoopy hair.
Super like straight and swoopy hair. And these guys come on stage, and it was the first time I'd ever been in that environment where every single person I'm around is singing along and like screaming the lyrics. People are pushing each other hard, but if someone falls down, everyone stops and opens a circle around them and picks them up and makes sure they're okay. People are like crowd surfing over your head, and it's this environment of chaos and love and like dedication. It was the weirdest thing, but from the first song they played, and I can't speak for you, but I was.
Well, we both at the end of that show bought their EP.
Yeah, it was.
I mean,
it was.
It made an impact for sure.
From the minute they started playing, it was one of those things where it was like, okay, this is what I've been looking for, and I didn't even know it.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, I ended up seeing them a total of, I think, 17 times.
I think it was 15 for me.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But yeah, man. I mean, there were several different versions of that band. They started out as like Go Ahead, I think was their name,
I think so.
or something like that. Then they were Tyson. Then they were Holyfield. Then they were Vision and Valor, and it was all like more or less the same core group of people, and like people kind of left and came back or whatever. But I mean, they were just a perfect example of like perseverance, because I think they started playing together when they were like 16, 17, something like that, when they actually formed a band. And the first time we saw them, they were like 20, 21, something like that, which is crazy to think about now.
Yeah.
Like, we're at the age now where they had stopped making music.
Well, and at that time too, they had a line wrapping around the block for their show.
Yeah, and that was
it
a
was
crazy
nuts.
thing about the Seattle music scene, is not only were they working extremely hard, trying new things out, and like playing shows and working their way up, but they were putting other people on. Like, if you think about some of the other biggest bands from Seattle at that time, the first time you or I had ever heard of them or seen them was at a Tyson show or a Holyfield show or a Vision and Valor show. And I mean, a handful of those bands kind of, after they got that acknowledgement and that recognition, they like carried their weight or whatever. But dude, I don't know. I wonder about it. Like, is it the fact that we're not really in the music scene anymore, or is the music scene just not that great that we're not hearing about it?
I can't answer to that.
It's tough.
But what I want to lead into is how that affected us in social situations as kids, like going back to school. And what's the point of view I want to speak on it from is that a lot of people nowadays seem nostalgic about the stuff that they made fun of us for listening to when we were that age.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about a band like Fall Out Boy or My Chemical Romance, or if you're fucking hardcore, Chiodos, right?
Yeah.
Like bands that were big back in that day. You know, that's what you and I were into, and we couldn't go around talking to other kids about it because it wasn't what people were into, and it wasn't really accepted at that time. But now I see some of the popular kids from school posting clips of them listening to that shit.
Yeah.
And like acting like that was their shit back in the day.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think a lot of people did enjoy that music secretly back in the day, but it was only people who were, in a way, brave enough to like admit that they liked that shit who were out liking it. But I mean, it has gotten to that point where there was something about that music that was so honest and kind of dope, and it really did inform current pop music like these days. Like if you look at like a lot of the newer pop artists within the past couple of years, they're all pretty emo when it comes down to it. It's like electronic poppy emo, but it's still emo.
Like 21 Pilots.
Yeah, or like even Halsey. Like I wouldn't necessarily say her
she's more
shit
of
is
an
emo.
alternative artist.
Yeah, but
I
again,
wouldn't say she's like pop culture.
Her music is very popular, so she falls into that genre, whether she wants to or not. But like, she's writing in a similar way where like some of those older bands were just being really honest about what they felt and what their experiences were, and she's like one of the number one artists right now. I think that's just gonna keep going, dude.
Yeah, you see a lot of influence from that kind of music nowadays.
Yeah.
Especially like in hip hop, a lot of the younger generation of popular hip hop are pretty emotional, and they say a lot of emo shit, and it did make an impact. And whether or not people wanted to accept it and wanted to think it's cool, it was something that still resonates to this day. It was just funny to me that back then it was so frowned upon and no one wanted to accept it for whatever reason.
Yeah, no, I feel it. I mean, I think it's one of those things where for the first time in a long time, pop culture was, or emo music, which was working its way into pop culture, was trying to address just kind of like unpopular, uncomfortable feelings and opinions that people had always had. I mean, there's a reason why I think My Chemical Romance is the queen of our generation. And a lot of people will cringe at that, but if you really...
No.
Yeah, if you're with this shit, you'll understand what I'm saying.
I'm more with the shit than you on that.
Is that right?
Absolutely.
Why do you say that, man? I'm with the shit.
Bro, I still blast that shit every day. I've been
Bro, I
bringing
do too, man.
I've been bringing you to Architects concerts for the last year.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, everybody. Well, with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and sign off for right now. Thank you for listening to this part of the Trial and Error Podcast. Make sure and check us out on trialanderrorpodcast.com, Apple Podcast app, Google Play, and Spotify. Also follow us on Instagram at Trial and Error Podcast. We'd love to hear from you, and we want to get some more people's opinions. We want to be more involved as a community.
If you have something that you want us to talk about, we'll try to talk about it if you just let us know.
We might make some errors, but that's why this show is called Trial and Error. Thank you for tuning in, and we will talk to you soon.
Have a good one.